This particular barn find couldn't be further from that, an electric car. But yet, actually, it came about through the ownership of this. The owner drives this every day, an electric Renault Zoe, and this situation came to me through the Renault Zoe Owners Club, so I have to say a big thank you to them. But what's in there, what we're going to uncover today, is a big V8 British muscle car, I suppose. A big thunderous saloon from an era when, you know, petrol, big capacity was seen as, you know, luxury and prowess. And the car in there hasn't been out since the late 90s. The owners had it since it was only a couple of years old. And it's one of the ultimate versions. So I'm hoping we can not just uncover it and get it out today, but we might be able to get it running. Welcome to the Barn Finds, supported by Adrian FLux Insurance. I'm Johnny Smith. This is the Late Break Show. This is Oliver. Oliver, you and your excited dog. I think she's really excited because she's like, is this the day we're going to get the SD1 out? Yeah.
Little does she know.
Yeah. I love the fact that you're into EVs, you've got an EV these days. But
love them.
Back in the older days, you know, you bought this car when it was not very old.
No, it was only 2 or 3 years old when I bought it.
Amazing.
It cost a fortune at the time.
Did it?
I had to take a loan. My dad lent me some money to buy it and things like that. So it's kind of a bit of a cherished item. That's why I had opportunities to sell it in the past.
Have you?
And at one time, my brother-in-law, in fact, was going to buy it off me. And I sort of backed out on the day he was going to pick it up. And,
did you?
Much to in my embarrassment, but I couldn't let it go. So it's just I just fell in love with it when I got it.
So we're going to get it out. We'll uncover it.
I hope so.
Well, let's have a look. There's enough talking. Let's have a look. So it's in this side, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
I can only open this part way, so it's...
Okay, open it as far as you can, and we'll have a nosy. I know we've got a bit of uncovering to do, but that's all part of the barn find charm. Here it is. So you've seen the yin, which is the Renault Zoe electric car. The yang, well, is there. The Rover SD1 Vitesse. In other words, 3.5 litre electric fuel injection V8 manual. I can't wait to dig this thing out. Right, we can't fully open the door yet because there's some stuff down there where the door tram lines go. So we're just going to clear the bits there and then we'll be able to open the door and start uncovering the SD1. Obviously, it goes without saying, I'm wearing my barn find fleece, the BFF. You got to. Come in, quick. Come and have a look. So we've just got rid of the stuff down the side so the garage the door can come in here, but look. Look, a bit of Rover. And before I go any further, I'm going to let you in. You can get the first look at this. Look at it in there. It's really quite good. I think it's been out of the sun. It's been out of most of the elements. The interior on this thing looks really beautiful. Naturally, it's velour. Because, is it a 1983, this car, Oliver?
Yes.
83. Oh, getting excited. Seen a bit of alloy. Bit of centre cap. Time to open it up.
Oh. Oh.
It's all right. Does it need a bit of
a snag on the corner there.
It's the sign of a true garage find when you have to sort of dig the garage door out before you can dig out any other car. Although I think now it right. Might be.
Bear with me. Oh no.
Well, sometime later, we've managed to take the hinge off, and we think, yes. So this is the all-important badge, really, because they made lots of SD1s, small engine ones, but what you want, the one to have really, is the Vitesse, so 5-speed manual, the V8 fuel injection, and the twin plenum model is the one that they used for sort of touring car. Yeah, and people get really excited about it, including dogs. Now we're going to pull all this stuff out so we can actually see the car. Okay, the back of the... You covered it up.
Really? Dread to think what's in here. Old Scorpio rear bumper.
Yeah, it is a Scorpio bumper.
Oh.
Do you know what? It's really clean inside.
Struts are not too clever, are they?
Struts are dead. We'll get it. We'll have a look at it when it's out in the open. Bloody hell, Oliver! This looks. Remind us.
Should be a spare wheel in here.
Remind us why it's in here. What did it come in here for?
To give out the rain.
Is that all it was?
How do you mean?
As in, like, what led to it sitting for all this time?
Other things taking precedence, I suppose, in life.
Yeah. And 1 year led into
changed jobs and became self-employed, and then you had to concentrate on a business.
Yeah.
This was a plaything, basically.
Oh, look at you, you beauty. So there's cloth and cardboard over the front of the car. My worry is there's a little bit of damp, I reckon, that's coming on this corner. Let's hope it's been kind to the Rover. If I put my hand over it, it is actually quite dry. Look, it's not been out of this cover in 20-something years, but I actually think it's in very good condition. I think it's okay under here, you know. So when you parked it in here,
yeah,
it was still running and driving.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It wasn't broken.
No, not at all.
Okay, so Oliver put it on axle stands at the back because the last job he was going to do for the MOT was the handbrake. So it's free. The wheels aren't seized at the back, which is great. We'll see about the front. The plan is I'll have a quick nosy under there, drop it off the axle stands, pump the front tyre up, or maybe all of the tyres. We'll pull the motorbike out, and we can go down the left, and we can get it out a bit to see the engine. Look at it though. There's a bit of shine to it. Did you put a new exhaust on this, Oliver?
At some point, yes. It has. In my ownership, it has had a new exhaust.
It still looks good.
It's obviously not how I did it, but it's.
We are nearly at the point of full uncovering of the Vitesse, but I don't know if you can see. The interior is really gorgeous. Really gorgeous. I always love the dash on these. I think the front is dragging.
I think the front disc's not.
It is. Some people watching this video will have more of an interest in the Kawasaki Zephyr, but I'm afraid this time, although that is a big engined bike, my heart's in 8 cylinders, not 4 today. Do we lift the bonnet now? I think there's been a little bit of rodent activity, but that's the main event there. EFI. 3.5 litre V8, the old Buick engine. One of the better iterations of it, actually. This looks really quite good, Oliver. There has been some rodent activity just here in the scuttle, but I'm looking with my rust hat on. I'm looking for rust, you know, in all the areas like sunroof, A-pillar. It looks really good. Really good. Somebody's written on the fuel filter.
Probably me.
10th of April 89 at 38,980 miles.
So it's done 2,000 or 3,000 miles on the oil on the fuel filter.
Interestingly, the steering wheel, although it's colour coded to the upholstery, it's not the original, is it?
Well, the original is a bit sort of granddaddish because it's off the traditional SD1 style size of wheel, whereas I thought this warranted a slightly sportier version, but keeping the same colour. So I hunted around, but I still have the original.
Do you?
I think it's hanging up in the back there somewhere.
You do. There it is. I can't get to it, but I can see it. So you did keep it. That's cool.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Any other modifications? It was just the wheel?
Radio. I changed the original Philips radio, which I've still got somewhere.
Have you?
But I couldn't tell you right now where it is, but I won't have thrown it away. So I've put a Blaupunkt, what was the sort of super duper one of the time.
Oh yeah, look at that.
The one modification that somebody had done to it was they put cruise control, which was a really bizarre cruise control, which was that knob in the middle of the centre console with a white top on it.
Yeah.
So you had to sort of, when you get to desired speed, you pull that knob up, and inside there's this peculiar sort of Heath Robinson cable arrangement operating on the accelerator.
My gosh. Did it work?
It did, but I never really used it. I never really trusted it. It was
I've had an instance with a cruise control locking on before.
Oh,
on
no.
an old 80s car. It was terrifying. It was like a really shit episode of Speed. Without Sandra Bullock, without any bombs, just me in an 80s car doing more speed than I wanted. I reckon we'll put some air in these tyres and then I'll take it off the jacks.
Let's hope they hold the air.
Yeah? Look. That's 30. That's up. So because it's fuel injected, you need to think about getting it searing if it will fire. We need to drain the petrol out.
Yes.
Possibly change the fuel filters.
Yeah.
And check the status of the electric fuel pump, which lives in the tank, doesn't it?
Does it? I don't know.
I don't know either. Have you got a manual?
Yes.
We might need it.
What I have got, which I meant to find for you, which I haven't found so far. Do you remember the old days when parts departments of dealers? They used to have like a microfiche. Do you remember that? Do you know what a microfiche is?
Yes, I do.
And they put it into there and project it in there.
Yeah.
Well, where I worked, we had a microfiche printer. So I bought the Rover SD1 microfiche set that the spares department had, and I printed the whole lot off on like A3 sheets.
Wow. You stayed at work late one night.
Yes, I did.
We've all done it.
Unfortunately, memory failed me. Should we give it a go?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Oh, she moves.
It's moving. It's moving. It's moving.
Whee.
Bit more. Bit more.
Well, it could go a little bit more.
A dab more. A dab more.
That's it. We're still undercover.
Oh, it's not. The brakes aren't seized. Okay, so when was the last time you sat in that?
22 years ago, is it?
Yeah. Is this your only V8?
No, I had the BMW.
Oh yeah, you did.
Now I bought that, the 735, because it was like the year or year but one before they clobbed them with the road fund tax.
Yeah.
Because it was just the standard rate.
Yes.
But from about 2001 onwards, you got hit with the CO2 rating.
Yeah.
And it was just, so I thought, blow this, I'm just going to get a V8. This is why I got that one. Kind of forgetting I got this still in the garage.
I know, just going, guys, I'm here. I know it's
crazy,
sad.
isn't it?
It's sad, but I get a bit emotional about cars. Like, I sort of felt sorry for it when we opened the door and it was full of stuff. We've pulled all that stuff out. We've wheeled it out, and now we're going to hook it up to a battery, drain the oil, drain the petrol.
Yep.
give it some fresh ignition and some fresh juice. You never know. It might not be a problem.
Yeah, I'm hoping it will.
See, now we've pushed it back a bit. It's underneath one of the strip lights. We can probably have a slightly better look under the bonnet. Was it wax protected?
Well, this kind of puzzled me because it looked like it had been not necessarily wax oil, but it's got like a black waxy stuff inside all the panels.
It does. This is exciting. I love this. I have got some spares that I brought along.
Yeah.
I do need to say thank you to the Rimmer brothers for those. They supply pretty much everything in the world for SD1s and other.
Oh, they're
models.
fantastic. I've used them.
Yeah. And I mentioned this barnfind to them, and they said, we'll stick a few things in the post for you, just in case you want to try and get it fired up. So I remain hopeful.
We've had a bit of rodent activity.
Yeah, but luckily I think there's a few nutshells there, but I don't think they've not been dining out on the wiring, which is really good, because that's what you don't want. I actually think, inside it's amazing.
You probably never remember this. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Do you?
I don't. Yeah. Well, it's been in here for I think 30 years.
And you said you bought it with 20,000.
20. I think it's 26ish, or
So
I had to go through all the records to try and find.
You've done 20,000 miles in this car since
Not
since the mid 80s.
It would appear not.
Okay, Oliver's sucked out gallons of petrol. Clearly you filled the car up before parking it in here. We've got rid of as much of the old fuel as we can. I've taken the sender unit out, we've cleaned it, and now it works. I think it's good. We've put that back in. Look, this is what I love about the SD1. It was a hatchback. It was actually quite a modern thing. Really big luxury hatch. And the seats could fold down, look. So, got loads of space. So we've done that. Now we're going to put the fresh, I think if you put the fresh fuel in,
Right.
and I'm going to disconnect the fuel filter, hopefully purge a bit of fuel through before we start the car up, and then put a new fuel filter on. Do you know what? I've had a crawl underneath while you've been sucking all of the old fuel out.
Yeah.
I crawled under the car.
You've been asphyxiated by the fumes of it.
Yeah, you've been making your moonshine. I went under the car with a torch just to have a nose around to look at its corrosion. It is so solid.
That's very encouraging.
It really is. I can't believe how well preserved it is. And I think that's a combination of I think it was wax oiled when it was quite young, and B, it's been in here which is dry all this time. So what I'm going to do, when Oliver's finished filling its throat with fresh fuel, just going to get an old coffee jar, put it under the fuel filter. Hopefully the electric fuel pump will purge some of the fuel in the system into here. We'll run that through for a bit, then new fuel filter on, and then we will start the car. Well, we'll see if it fires. It's had some new ignition parts. We've checked a few things over and it looks really good. The electric fuel pump's just primed into life. What's the fuel looking like? A bit grim? Or does it look like, dehydrated Waz?
Yes, it looks a bit like dehydrated. There's no bits in it.
Good, that's nice. Well, let's go for another one of them.
Let me go and
you go and decant into
deal with this
into your moonshine collection.
Not quite.
And then we're one step closer to firing it safely, I think. We'll just purge a little bit more of the old fuel out, stick the new fuel filter on, and then I reckon this thing will fire. All the dash lights, look, you see in a minute, all the dash lights come on with the crazy 80s trip computer here. Should we do it?
Yep. Something went crack then.
Yeah, it was supposed to start up then, and it didn't. Yeah, they need opening up a bit. I think they've been tightened quite hard. All filters suddenly blocked.
Well, I wonder because it sounded as though it was struggling. You could hear a pump going.
Yeah.
As though it was sort of sucking on air.
Well, we could try and... We've got to take that old one off anyway.
Yeah.
We could just do it with no filter on it.
Yeah.
See what happens. I'll take that one off. We'll crank it over a few times.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will crank. Now, why would it do that? That is when the...
Is there enough juice in the battery? Is the battery gone a bit low? But shouldn't have done.
If you've got a voltage meter, then we can check whether that battery's any good.
Yeah.
It's just clicking and not actually engaging the starter, so we need to work out what that may be. Meanwhile, let's put this fuel filter on.
Oh, no fuel getting through, is there?
I might leave the fuel... I'll leave it running for a bit again. Are we okay your side?
You're all right. Okay.
Okay, ready? Look at that. Look at that. So while there's a break in the weather, we thought we'd wheel it out with help of a couple of neighbours. We got it out here on the drive. First time it's been out in 20 odd years. And I have to say, it is as straight as I was expecting. And I crawled underneath it when I had to tap the solenoid for the starter motor and check the fuel pump. Even the fuel lines are good. It's been really well preserved, and that's because it's been cavity waxed from new, I think. The worst piece of rust I can see is there's like a couple of scabs on the driver's door, and that is really quite remedial for one of these. The rest of it's incredible. Look. Look at it. Obviously you've got the trip computer and all the other bits. If I switch the... Look.
False teeth stories. This is the place to park them.
This Blaupunkt Atlanta, and look, the electric aerial still works. You hear it? Well, we've wheeled it out. I still haven't got it to fire. And I think it's a fuel starvation issue. So while I'm drumming up the courage to maybe dive back under there, let's just give it a wash. I reckon it's going to come out really, really well. Can't remember the last time I washed a car with a rubber boot spoiler. So probably the most desirable Vitesse, the most desirable SD1 Rover is the Vitesse twin plenum chamber. A bit of extra power and developed, I think, for touring car racing. But you know, this has done 42,000 miles. It's never been restored. It's never had any rust repair. And right now it doesn't really need any. And it's just been sat in there for sort of no particular reason. Even Oliver's like, I don't really know why I've left it so long. But sometimes it just happens. And talking to him, I think Oliver's realised that perhaps the car should go to someone who really, really is enthusiastic about it and actually will use it. It needs using. It needs recommissioning a bit, and it needs using. There's so much life left in this thing. you thought that you had the service history, but you
Yes.
weren't entirely sure where it was.
Great.
Then we were just having a nose around the car while it's outside. I totally forgot SD1s have 2 glove boxes. There's one under the driver's steering column, and in there is all the service history, and we've got all the stamps in the service book. It's great to see this. So where it came from in Nottingham, so most of those stamps, and then you said you bought it. When you bought it, you took it to a different garage.
Yes. Local to me.
When you lived in Hitchin.
That's right.
So that's 28,000 miles in 1987. And then the last stamp, 34,000 miles in 88.
Yep.
And then you did the final service in
Yes,
89.
That's right. Yes.
Would it have been?
Would,
Or no, you would have had it probably serviced a few times since then.
yes. Well, I generally did it myself then. From
Yeah. But it's got it all in there, including the corrosion warranty. And the Econo Cruise electronic cruise control unit instructions, the Vitesse. I was looking at the specs of it and it's amazing. It's much lighter than I was expecting. They look flat and heavy and wide. Showroom maximum weight 1,440 kilos. 1,400, so less than 1,500 kilos. And it seems that the manual gearbox car is heavier than the auto, which I
it's a
don't.
bit surprising, isn't it? It's,
Yeah, I don't really understand that. Normally it's the other way around. My love for SD1s has got even higher as a result of this. What's that? Please use 4-star. 97 RON minimum.
yes.
Yeah. It's great. It's great having all this
stuff. Yeah.
It's great having all this stuff. I mean, I never expected it to be quite as rot-free and as honest, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I'm very pleased.
I think you were worried that it might have.
Yes.
It might have succumbed.
A bit of the old rot had set in.
Yeah, but you know, all those blankets, and perhaps the garage being a dry building has single-handedly preserved that. I can't believe how good it is underneath. I wish I could show you more details underneath, but I did try and get a GoPro under there just for a quick look. Well, what an adventure it's been today. We've uncovered the SD1. We've gone through it and tried to get it running. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it to fire. I know it's something simple and it's really bugging me, but we got it to turn over. Pretty much everything else seems to work. We've cleaned it and we've admired it. What an amazing, incredible survivor, unrestored 40,000 mile Vitesse. One of the British cars that was good, actually. So I want to say thanks to everybody who's watched this. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Do you know of another barn find car that you want me to come and investigate and dig out? Thank you massively to Adrian FLux Insurance, who support our barn find playlist, and a huge thank you to you, Oliver.
It's been my pleasure.
Who's let me come and unearth this amazing time capsule of a V8. I love it. I'm going to try really hard now to not buy it off you.
Don't try too hard.
Actually, the SD1 did fire up about a week after we finished filming this. Oliver decided to persist with some easy start, a bit of fettling, and sure enough, the SD1 woke up from its 20-year-long hibernation.